So, good morning, everybody, and, well, afternoon now. Hey, Silver, how's it going? We're going to be playing Mono Green Tron again. I still don't feel like changing up this list. Still kind of feel like playing this particular one. But we're going to go ahead and take this into a constructed league. For those of you on YouTube, I've done a deck tech. Not the previous video, but I think the video before for this deck. I haven't made any changes since. I've been kind of enjoying this particular version of Tron, and we're going to go ahead and take this into a constructed modern league and see what happens. Hey, Elbow, how's it going? All right. Yes, it is. Okay. So I'm thinking today we're going to play a mono green Tron list, and then I'm kind of excited to try out my Battle of Wits list again. I might have to make some minor edits based on whatever I can find in the control realm in the current modern metagame. But I've let me back up. For those of you that don't know, Moto used to lag and like get completely more unplayable the longer it would go on my computer. I believe I have solved that issue, and I've been testing it on and off all week, and so I kind of feel comfortable going back to playing Battle of Wits again because I don't feel like the deck is just going to massively slow down the game more and more and more. And I shouldn't have to restart the client this league, so we'll see if that's true or not. Hey, Tarek, how's it going? No worries. If I end up doing the Battle of Wits League after this one, I probably will be going later. So, all right, round one. We are on the draw. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping it works out. We are against a Lurrus deck. This hand is relatively Thoughtseize proof. The problem is they're more likely to be Hammer than they are to be Rakdos Lurrus. I actually have not looked at the metagame. I've been playing a ton of Crimson Vow draft, which is really fun for me, but a lot of people don't like watching it, so I've not been recording it or anything. I've just been playing it for myself. So this could be Death Shadow or Hammer Time. This hand is good against neither of those decks, really, so we're going to go to 5. In theory, this hand is better. It's still not great. I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to put back Karn. I think the number of draws that we have is going to be fine. If my opponent is playing a Thoughtseize deck, he's going to Thoughtseize Expedition map. Okay, it's Hammer. This is not a good hand versus Hammer. It is very rare to see Lurrus burn on the Moto meta, although it is technically a deck. So we'll go ahead and play Expedition map. We will not pay 1 to prevent that. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays Saga. It's probably a Stoneforge Mystic. It is a Cranial Plating. Okay. We get hit for 2. This is a slower start from our opponent. It's not like an immediate combo hand or anything. We draw Sundering Titan, which is not going to be very useful. Okay, I can Expedition map for Blast Zone. I feel like that's going to be too slow. So I think what we're going to do is play Sphere. We're going to let our opponent draw. We're going to crack it for green and then Ancient Stirrings. We need to hit a second Tron land before we crack map, really. Letting them draw cards is very dangerous as well. But at the same time, I don't really have a choice here. Because like just playing out a cantrip doesn't do anything. I could play Yavimaya and then just play out Star and cast Ancient Stirrings, not crack Star, like save it. But I guess that only helps if I want to make it into a blocker later off of Karn. I think we just go we dig as deep as we can. So I'm not going to pay 1 to prevent this. Technically, I should have played Sphere. I'm not going to count it as a punt, because odds are this isn't going to like lay around on the battlefield. So crack Star for green. We do draw a Power Plant, which is nice. And we can get mine to have Tron. I don't see a Karn Great Creator here. So Ugin's not going to be very helpful. Wurmcoil Engine likely won't matter, and we are playing 4. And Karn Liberated is going to be too slow and too narrow. So I am going to take Urza's Mine. I have to be aware that that is the one I revealed. So, yeah. Hey, Halsey, how's it going? Opponent plays an Inkmoth Nexus. Okay, that's a concern. That makes me wish I had Karn Liberated. However, I can, if I do miraculously make it to 4 lands on board, I can Sundering Titan and make them sack Inkmoth. We take 2, untap. We draw another Urza's Mine, so play Urza's Mine. Pass the turn. I don't think there's any sense here in playing out the sphere and forcing ourselves to tap mana, or giving my opponent an additional draw. I think we just wait. They might needle the map. Yep, I am aware. Thank you for reminding me, though, because that's something I would definitely forget, and have forgotten frequently in the past. So opponent goes to their main phase. I could actually let them needle the map, because the alternative is they needle Blast Zone, if I were to try and, tutor for it. Although, yeah, I think I still go and get Blast Zone. It does tell them that I have the last Tron land in hand, or that I'm desperate enough for interaction to do that. One of those two things. Okay, opponent plays a Plains. It does make our Sundering Titan a little bit better. They put a Colossus Hammer on board, so if they've got a Pure Steel Paladin, there's a good chance I'm dead. Okay, they play an Ornithopter, and another Ornithopter, and a Core Outfitter. Alright, that's going to be game. There's nothing I can do about that. I've said multiple times in the past, and I will reiterate here, Hammer is probably Tron's worst matchup. And really, no matter how many sideboard slots you devote to it, you're going to lose about 70% of the time. So I'm going to bring in the Force of Vigors. I think they are absolutely critical against this opponent. Ugin the Spirit Dragon's coming out. It's just absolutely terrible in this matchup. I could drop Ugin the Ineffable. I'm a little more hesitant to do that. There is also some notion that I could main deck Chalice of the Void. I don't like bringing in the Wishboard targets, but Chalice and Walking Ballista is probably better than Ugin or Ulamog. Yes, they are playing black. They could have Thoughtseize. I don't actually know. Okay, they do have Thoughtseize out of the board. Just looking at a recent list. Generally, when they play multiple colors, it's because they're playing Prismatic Ending. They want to be able to hit larger things.
Happy birthday!
Thanks, Halsey. It's not my birthday. Let's, I think we just make that swap there. Ulamog might actually be important to hit a late game Inkmoth. So we'll see what happens. We'll play first. Okay, we do have a Force of Vigor in this hand. We also have an Ancient Stirrings if we must pitch it. We have Oblivion Stone. We have Chromatic Stars. This hand is not awful. If they lead on Saga, I will absolutely nuke it immediately. It's pretty high risk, though, because we don't have a backup plan. I think, on average, most 6s we have are going to be better than this. The problem is the specificity of this hand. I'm going to try it. I don't think our chance of winning this match is really high at all. I think, especially losing game 1, we're almost 100% to lose. So, let's try it. Do it, you know you wanna. Well, I did. Alright, that's a Memnite. Second Memnite. And a Plains. That... I don't pitch 2 cards to kill a 0-drop. There's no way. We definitely try to force something else. Sylvan Scrying is also a big help here, because that makes sure I have another green spell for the Force of Vigor. Okay, we do it a second land. Rest to the bottom. I like walking into risk-taking. You would, Mav. Play Chromatic Star, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play an Inkmoth. They play a Stoneforge. Okay. They do pick up a Colossus Hammer. And they attack us for 2. That's fine. Take 2, go to 18. We untap. We draw a tower. Okay. So we are going to sack Star for green. We get an Expedition map. Play the tower. Play the map. Pass the turn. I'm actually really liking our odds right now. We have Force of Vigor if our opponent tries to go for the victory here, and we can tutor for the last Tron piece in addition, and immediately follow up with an Oblivion Stone. So if our opponent tries to stick a Colossus Hammer onto this Inkmoth Nexus, we should be able to get him. I'm not going to Force of Vigor in response to the Urza Saga, even though that's my base instinct, because I'm anticipating we're going to get a slightly better chance at a payoff here with this Force. Okay, that's a Sigarda's Aid. Well, they would have to have 2 hammers for it to be a kill here. Okay, no blocks. Okay, they flash in a Colossus Hammer onto Stoneforge Mystic. And now they're giving me the opportunity to try something else. I think we're going to force hitting the land that Oblivion Stone won't and hitting the Colossus Hammer. If they have a second hammer, this is pretty bad, but... Okay, they do not. So we go and get Power Plant. Untap. We draw another Expedition map. That will be very useful in the upcoming turns. So, play Tower. Blow up the world. Pass the turn. Opponent does still have an Inkmoth Nexus. Why now? Because waiting for them to be able to utilize their mana potentially makes this much more dangerous. Okay, we draw Karn, Great Creator. So I can go get like Liquimetal Coating and shut off a Plains this turn. But the first thing I'm going to do is play map, grab a redundant tower, play the tower, then play Karn. Wish. We will get Liquimetal Coating, play Coating, pass the turn, stop on my opponent's upkeep, and shut off Plains. I could technically have activated on Inkmoth Nexus, but if my opponent had land, Sigarda's Aid, Hammer, we would die. We still die to that, actually, but... Okay, opponent does play a Lurrus. They replay a Memnite for the turn. This is all fine. All according to plan. Okay. We untap. We draw an Urza's Power Plant. Editor's note, Keikaku means plan. All according to Keikaku. Okay. Play Ulamog. Take out Inkmoth, take out Lurrus. Okay. Plan around the Mana Tithe. And we will blow up the Godless Shrine. And this should be game. Because a single hammer doesn't do it, and they can't have enough cards to, like, Sigarda's Aid, Hammer. Okay, they do have a silent clearing. They sack it immediately, and they scoop. We got there, but only barely. Yeah, I don't think we can do anything else. Them being on the play is a major advantage. Sissia, how's it going? Yes, we are against Hammer Time. That is actually the deck's name, Hammer Time. Veil is useful for force. That's true, but we only have 2 forces, and Veil is otherwise dead. I mean, I guess they do have Thoughtseize, but I think I prefer not having it in versus this deck. You can argue that it's probably better than Ugin the Ineffable for that reason. Maybe I should, but Lurrus is also black. Oh, that's true. I did not actually think about the fact that if they cast the Companion, I can draw a card off of it. Okay, this hand is unkeepable. So we will mulligan. This hand is also not great. We are going to 5. Okay, so we put back a tower. We put back a... I want to keep the Wurmcoil, but I think we just have to pray the Tron gods are on our side here. Okay, opponent did keep a hand of 7, which is terrible news. They lead on Plains. Pithing Needle. Alright, well, we don't have an Expedition map, so if they just Pithing Needle map, we're fine. There we go. Opponent Pithing Needle's a card we don't have, and don't plan on casting. Okay, we draw Sylvan Scrying. It does make getting Tron a little bit easier. So play Chromatic Star. Opponent plays a Saga, then does nothing. We untap. We draw a map. Alright. Yes! Jasm versus. Good to have you. This will be Tron today. We will be playing some Battle of Wits later, I think. I think I'll have the energy for that. We drew Power Plant. So I think what we do here is play Power Plant, play Sphere, crack Sphere for green, Ancient Stirrings. Then I guess we go Wurmcoil. We don't need a redundant Power Plant. Sad to see that we just skipped over a Force, but nothing we can do about it. There was some notion that I should have cast Sylvan Scrying and gotten Blasting Zone. Or Blast Zone, not Blasting Zone. Okay, opponent fetches up the Plains. Looks like they're just going to go on the Urza Saga route here. We draw an Oblivion Stone. That will be useful. We just need any land to be able to activate Oblivion Stone. Play a Wurmcoil. Pass the turn. Wurmcoil does at least help kind of slow our opponent down just a little bit. It is a lot worse than a lot of our other Tron threats in this matchup, but it kind of is a speed bump. Tron mana is exactly Wurmcoil plus Mana Tithe mana. That's true. There really is no god for white players, is there? Sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, man. I want white to be a better color in Modern. I want, what is it? I want a mono-white deck that isn't, well, I guess Death and Taxes is technically a mono-white deck. I don't remember seeing Death and Taxes anytime recently. Okay, we really need to draw a land to be able to activate Oblivion Stone, or we're probably toast. Opponent played those cards in the wrong order. No, I guess they didn't, because they had to tutor up Hammer. Okay, we untap. We draw a land. There is a god for Tron players. Go to combat. Attack our opponent for 6. Yeah. I think, once again, we're going to go ahead and immediately activate here. Isn't Hammer mostly white? That's true. It is. I guess I wished for a mono-white combo deck like 2 years ago, and a finger on the monkey's paw curled. I mean, it's mainly Affinity, in my opinion. It's like just the natural evolution of Affinity, even though those decks are pretty wildly different in play pattern. But that Ornithopter is scary. We untap. We draw another tower. So let's go ahead and play map. Expedition map. Get Blast Zone. Play Blast Zone. Play map. And yes, I know I'm playing out something that'll get potentially blown up by Blast Zone. I'm not actually that worried about that. I might have to Ensnaring Bridge, and so I kind of want my hand to be a little bit smaller. So we attack our opponent for 6. They go down to 7. We pass the turn. Opponent cracks Marsh Flats, goes to 6. Get a Godless Shrine tapped. They have put themselves into lethal range from the Worm tokens. Opponent plays a Silent Clearing. So if they don't go for it this turn, we can crack map on their end step to go get a Sanctum of Ugin, potentially to let us tutor up a powerful threat. If we draw a big threat, it also kind of thins our deck, so we're more likely to draw a big threat. They are going to Pithing Needle Blast Zone. Activating it in response doesn't do anything, but I kind of have to let this happen. So opponent can replace a Guard as Aid here. We do need to draw something. I guess they don't have Ink Moth, so short of triple Hammer, we're probably fine. They play an Esper Sentinel out of hand. I think I'm actually going to go grab Yavimaya over Sanctum of Ugin, because Yavimaya turns on potentially drawing a Force of Vigor here. Okay, we drew a Forest. So I can't activate Blast Zone. Oh, I did have Scrying for Force. I'm not sure which line is better in the future scenario then. So they're going to replay Aid. They might have a Hammer out of hand. I don't need this up anymore. I am going to... the line that wins, of course. Yeah, no, that's not true. The correct line is the one that gives you the best chance of winning, not the one that actually would have won, because that's not how probability works. I'm going to play Yavimaya, and I am going to Sylvan Scrying again. I will pay 1 to prevent this. Let's go get Sanctum, and pass the turn. There's no way that... I don't think there's any way that they would suit up Lurrus with the Hammer. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it does have lifelink, and it puts them further out of reach, but I don't think that's as important. And if they're not flashing in Hammer, we can Death Touch block the first one. But I imagine they're going to have flash, because I think Sigarda's Aid is the card they're going to play out of the grave here. Okay, opponent plays a Pure Steel Paladin. They're taking this route so they can draw more cards, but this does mean that they will be attacking into the Worm tokens. So what I think they should do is suit up Ornithopter, attack with it, and then second main suit up Esper Sentinel. I think that makes the most sense, because it basically forces me to make them draw a card by casting something. Okay. They Thoughtseize. Joke's on you, my hand's not Thoughtseizable. They go to 3. Alright, opponent attacks for 10. I'll block with the lifelink token. Unplayable cards. Cards like think things like Aladdin's Ring. Ooh, Shoot, I have one for this. Okay, we untap. We draw an Ancient Stirrings, which is a pretty fantastic top deck here. Let's go ahead and Ancient Stirrings. I cannot pay 11. If we hit Karn, we kill them with Walking Ballista. Hey, it's Karn. Take Great Creator. Rest of the bottom. Play Tower. Play Great Creator. And we wish. And this is why I didn't bring in Walking Ballista. There's usually situations like this, and I didn't bring in Chalice for the same reason. Like, your wishboard targets, unless you're really desperate, should remain wishboard targets, because drawing them randomly is frequently worse than just playing them. So, I can ping my opponent 3 times here. We beat Hammer Time round 1. That's a good sign for this league. That's a really good sign for this league. And, as a special bonus, I will not be restarting the client. Oh, what is that? Hang on. I'm looking, Elbow. AK Tank, how's it going? Good to see you. Right now, I'm playing Tron. I'm going to be playing a second league after this, more than likely, and I will be playing Battle of Wits for that league. That's the card, Elbow. Collapsing Borders. Alright, because it, like, technically has a function, right? But, like, if you're making a cube and you don't have a ton of fixing in the cube, it's just everyone's playing basics. You think it was Sissia's message? Oh, Sissia, excuse me. I'm sorry. I was reading Elbow's message when I was reading your name. Or vice versa, excuse me. This is a mulligan, of course. This is really close. I'm going to keep this. 1 redraw should actually be very good on the draw. It's already included? Oh, man, I got to find another one then. I'll find one. Don't worry. All right. So we draw Sanctum of Ugin. So we're going to lead on Power Plant, play Star, and pass the turn. David Eppes, thank you for following. I appreciate the follow. Opponent fetches up a Raugrin Triome. Prismatic Ending. Okay, so they are probably a control deck if they're playing this way. It's not terribly important that we have that chromatic. I mean, obviously, like, our best bet now is just top deck into natural Tron, which Tron has been known to do. The concern is our opponent has enough counter spells to deal with whatever we throw at them. They're going to ice the tower. Haha. Little did they know I drew the wrong Tron land. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays a Teferi Time Raveler, down ticks to draw a card. We untap. Mine. Yes! That's exactly what I wanted. Alright, so we have 9 mana. We can play Karn and, like, down tick on a land. We could play Ugin and up tick on Teferi. Or we could play Karn Great Creator and try and get tricky. I think odds are my opponent has at least 1 counter spell. So we're going to play Karn Great Creator. I'm expecting Force of Negation. Okay, I did not receive Force of Negation, so we're going to wish. And then this might be a great time for Mystic Forge, actually. But we're going to try and go for Coating here. Play Coating. Odds are Karn is going to get destroyed. Probably by a burn spell. 7 mana play against Spell Pierce. You doubt they play it? Oh, yeah, no. I don't think that modern control decks actually play Spell Pierce. They have, like, Prismatic Ending is like their catch-all against early game. There's not a lot of instant, or I guess there's not a lot of, like, non-creature spells they want to counter. Because they're not even playing, like, Spell Snare anymore. Man, when was the last time a control deck played Spell Snare? I should have turned off a land on my opponent's upkeep. But apparently they can't beat it anyway. Hey, that wasn't a punt. My opponent conceded. It was a punt. It totally was a punt. Okay, so we definitely want Veil of Summer versus Control. Let me see. My goodness, you spent all of your skulls on that? This is not a Wednesday. You are correct. I have been streaming on Sundays usually now, in addition to Wednesdays. They probably have Spreading Seas. That's a good call, Peacefinder. I'm pretty sure they do. I was trying to remember what enchantment stuff they have, like enchantments or artifacts that I need to deal with, because I was positive it existed. Thank you, because I could not remember, despite the fact that I run into it all the time. So we're going to cut some Wurmcoil Engines here. They're not as good in this matchup. I'm actually going to go down to 1 Wurmcoil in the main. The life gain's not going to be as relevant. Spell Snare was last played before Counterspell was legal. They'll probably bring in Chalice on the play. You think so? I have seen control decks running Chalice, but I don't remember when exactly. And I think I'm going to cut 1 O-Stone so it's in the Wishboard. I don't think I need all 4 in the main deck, though they are very useful. Getting game 1 versus control is actually huge. Oh, they did that to you? The Chalice? That's a good thing to know. Nice, okay. Thank you. I am going to mulligan this hand. Very close to natural Tron. I am going to keep this, and I'm going to put back a Sylvan Scrying, I believe. I'm going to lead on a power plant and see if we get spreading seized. Opponent immediately fetches, shocks, plays Ragavan. We draw Sylvan Scrying. Not really what I wanted to draw, but I'll deal. Unfortunately, I have no answer to Ragavan, basically anywhere in this deck. This is a really greedy keep by the opponent if they did not keep a 2-lander. How many gifted subs to abandon this league and shift streams to a cooking one instead? I don't have a setup for a cooking stream, so unfortunately I cannot make that deal no matter how outrageous. Alright, we get our power plant spreading seized, and they play my map. We untap, we draw another power plant. So, play a forest, Sylvan Scrying. Let's go get a mine. Pass the turn. So at least 5? It's more than that. We'll get hit for 2. Opponent will make... I don't even have anything that would be, like, decent to cook right now and interesting to watch. Because I have to get groceries, so... I have wanted to do a cooking stream, though. I do enjoy doing stuff. Opponent exiles a Wurmcoil Engine off the top of our deck. That card will be of questionable importance. That's a long drag. I am down a long flight of stairs. The Ethernet cable's long enough, but opponent uses map to go get a Celestial Colonnade. Alright, so we are going to play Mine, play Star, and I think I'm going to Sylvan Scrying for Blast Zone. I have enough Tron pieces in my hand. Opponent hits me for 2, we go to 14. Opponent gets another treasure, they exile our Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. Opponent plays 5 mana for Big Teferi, upticks, and plays an island. We untap, we draw an Oblivion Stone. I should probably just be working towards that Oblivion Stone, I imagine. Let's Ancient Stirrings. I'm trying to bait a counterspell here. It's possible I should have just played Blast Zone and dealt with Monkey at instant speed. Because I would at least draw a card off this Chromatic Star. But I can put Ulamog in my hand. I could also get a Sundering Titan. Sundering Titan is a difficult thing for them to counter. If I assemble Tron, I will have Tron plus 2 mana, which is not enough for Ulamog. It would take 1 more full land drop. But Ulamog would deal with Teferi. Karn Great Creator is a lot more reasonable to cast. Wizened Snitches and Rites of Refusal, fair enough. 2 or 3 strong mill decks. Is Endurance a quality sideboard piece? Yes, it is. But if it, I don't know what's more expensive because I haven't played Paper in forever. Generally, people just play like a Kozilek, and if they're really, really too many mill decks, they'll play a Kozilek and an Emrakul, so Surgical doesn't get them. But I think, what's it called? I think Endurance would be just fine there. Okay, I'm going to play an Oblivion Stone. This probably will get countered. Isn't that a silver border card? Alright. So opponent untaps. They uptick Teferi to 6. They hit us with Monkey. We take 2, go to 12. Opponent exiles an Urza's Mine. Gets a treasure. Opponent spreading seas my power plant again. What a jerk. Can't just spread that many seas. We get Karn Liberated. So I think now I have to play Blast Zone. That's just kind of the circumstance. I think I will use it to destroy 1-drops. Memory Deluge, okay. Like the odds they have a 3rd spreading seas is probably not 0. They uptick Teferi to 7. Although I do now regret not taking Ulamog. Yeah, no worries. I'm happy to try and give out information when I have relevant information to give. Okay, opponent attacks for 6. If I tick up Blast Zone to 2... Let me do the math here. So opponent is going to have 4 mana. I could tick up Blast Zone to 2, and then it would take 3 mana to activate, in addition to itself. So I would have to tap like Power Plant, Forest, and Mine, and then that would leave me with 5 mana. So I have to crack it on 1 here. We go to 8. Okay, opponent gets to untap some lands. Then they have to discard to turn. We draw another Urza's Mine. Play Sphere. Sack Sphere for green. Ancient Stirring. Opponent counterspells. Okay. We're going to play out Tower, because it doesn't matter whether we play Power Plant or Tower, I think. At no point are we going to be able to cast a Force if we draw it. Nice, I'm glad to hear that. I feel bad, because like for a lot of people, budget is a concern. And like the current modern metagame is very, very hostile to a lot of budget decks or budget considerations for top tier decks, and Tron is of particular fragility in that regard. So like, and all of that to say, like, I feel bad recommending certain Tron tech, because it's like, well, if you want to be top tier competitive, this is the way you do it, except it's very expensive to do that.
Happy birthday!
It's not my birthday, Mr. Poopy Butthole, but thank you. What'd the monkey do to you? Raylin, it's not my birthday, but welcome. How's it going? Sure sounds like gaslighting. Oh, gosh. Not this again. Opponent hits us for 4. We go to 4. Opponent untaps some lands. We untap. They ice my tower. Okay, we draw Karn. So play Power Plant. Play... Hang on. 1, 2, 3. I'd have to take out my own forest. That would stop them from colonnading, but I would die to Teferi ult. There's just nothing I can do about a Teferi ult. But if I play Karn and down tick on Teferi, I just die to colonnade, so we'll play Sundering... Oh, I don't. I actually have to play Karn. Never mind. Yeah, if they got a counterspell, it's just game over. I think they had just enough disruption. I possibly took the wrong line, but... Oh, man, that sucks. Alright, no adjustments, let's run it back. That's fair. That's fair. And it's weird, it's weird to me, because, like, I, to an extent, kind of considered an authority on it, and I don't feel like I have that qualification at all. Like, I'm just a guy, right? But I guess I've been playing the deck for quite a while now, and I do tend to talk strategy a lot, so... There was nothing to do, and you just show less cards. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure if your opponent knows about Tron, they're going to know about, like, Karn. Like, that's a thing that's just going to happen, right? The good news is we're going to have Tron much faster. Like, opponent can disrupt us with a Spreading Seas. Luckily, they Spreading Seas the wrong land, quote-unquote. We draw a Veil of Summer. I am going to play out the tower and then just pass. Not about Sundering Titan. I guess that's true. I tend to forget that the list that I'm playing is not, like, the list that everyone else is playing right now, I guess. This was actually a list that was sent to me by a viewer that I'm actually enjoying still. I think I only made one edit. I dropped an Emrakul out of the side for a Pithing Needle, just because that made the most sense to me. We draw an Ulamog. Okay, so I'm going to play a Forest and pass. We're going to Sandbag for a turn. Big Teferi would be a problem. Little Teferi is not a problem. Shouldn't be. And if we can get down Karn Great Creator, we should be... Or, you know, I just, like, top deck another tower and... Okay, they just cast Ragavan. This tells me that their counterspell of choice is going to be Archmage's Charm. We draw Ugin. I mean, Ugin would be pretty good. I guess that's fair. I guess that's fair. Okay, so we are assembling Tron this turn. And we can play Ugin, or we can play Karn Great Creator, and then go get, like, Walking Ballista. I think we play Ugin. And my logic on this one is, if they fail the counterspell here, that basically forces them to play 5 mana Teferi, and then Walking Ballista gets even more value. Okay, they do have Archmage's Charm, so we Veil of Summer. We draw Oblivion Stone, shoot Ragavan, pass the turn. And now we have 9 mana. So if I play this forest, I can play Ulamog, and if my opponent does play Big Teferi down tick to get rid of Ugin, we can take out Teferi, and we can take out their red mana. Whew! Man, did I call it this game or what? Play Ulamog. Game over. Alright. That's fair, Jason. I appreciate that. Alright. We'll be moving on to round 3. I don't know about that, Elvis Audrey, but I guess to an extent, you know, I gotta be right sometime, right? That's also quite reasonable. I actually have a niece that just turned 1, and I get to see a lot of that through my brother. So, thank you. So we will be on the play for round 3. That is a huge advantage for us against almost every deck. Opponent reveals Kahira, so this is probably control, though this could be elementals. This hand is okay. The thing is, if it is elementals, or if it's control and this Chromatic Sphere gets prismatic ending, which everybody wants to do against Tron for some reason, this hand is gonna fail really quickly. So I think I am gonna mulligan. This hand is far worse. I'm gonna go to 5. We're going to 4. All right, we're staying at 4. I could just like F6 and gain information and not tell my opponent what I'm on, but I'm not gonna do. We have a couple of redraws here to get the second Tron land. We get 2 draws, 1 off of Sphere, 1 for turn, and if we do draw it, we can Sylvan Scrying for the 3rd. Okay, we get Yavimaya. 4 1-landers, but the 7 card one was much better. Let's go ahead and draw a card here, see what we get. Okay, we get a Karn. Unfortunately, this means we do have to play Yavimaya and Sylvan Scrying. I'm gonna go get mine. I don't know. So if this is Elementals, I don't know if Elementals plays main deck Fulminator Mage. They might play it as like a singleton. Breeding Pool. I'm thinking this might be Elementals from that land drop. Hinterland Harbor. Okay. We draw Oblivion Stone. Play mine. Play map. Could be Rhinos. Could be Rhinos. It is not Rhinos. Pass the turn. I don't think Rhinos would play Kahira, though. Simply because, like, they play Brazen Borrower, and they play, like, a bunch of non-elemental, non-whatever is in this list cards. Let's go and sack Star for green, just get an immediate redraw here. We get another Power Plant, so play the Power Plant. And we are going to play out Oblivion Stone. Reclamation. It could be. I have not seen a Reclamation deck of any kind for a very long time. So I think that's unlikely. I think it's much more likely that my opponent is on Elementals. Like, this is going to be like... Well, not an Omnath, because they don't have white mana, but... Ren and 6. This actually could be Time Warp. This could be Time Warp. That would be a problem. Sylvan Scrying. See if they have another counter spell that they're willing to use on this. They should, because we do have an active Oblivion Stone if we were to resolve this. Okay. Pass the turn. Oh, is he? I mean, then this could be Wreck. This could be somebody... a lot of people play Spikes decks. And that's, to be fair, Spikes decks are usually very good. We draw an Ugin, which is not going to be useful. Let's try playing a Karn. Okay. Opponent shocks a Steam Vents. Archmage's Charm. Okay. This is looking... Oh, they're drawing cards off of Archmage's Charm. Interesting. They just have the 3rd counterspell? I don't know what's happening. My opponent might have messed up there, because I'm pretty sure they use the draw card mode. Yeah. Okay. Nope, they have the 3rd counterspell. Okay. Well, not Tron versus counterspell Tron is kind of unfortunate. Opponent plays a Castle Vantress. Picks up the same Scalding Tarn. We untap. We draw another useless Oblivion Stone. Pass the turn. Okay. I mean, Vantress and only 3 colors is probably Reclamation. Yeah, definitely is, because Shark Typhoon. So, thank you for calling that out. Mr. Poopy Butthole and Silver. Appreciate that. Put a counter on O-Stone. I mean, it's technically correct, right? But you sacrifice O-Stone to activate it, so... It could matter because I have a second O Stone, but the odds of that are pretty astronomical. I mean, I'm still going to do it. I'm not doing anything else with my mana. But I don't think it matters. The only thing that we could really do realistically from this position is to, like, top deck a tower into an Ulamog, try and take my opponent off of stuff. But my opponent is just about to alt Ren and 6. I mean, yeah, I guess I can just activate Oblivion Stone. I could wait for my end step to do this, but if they have anything instant speed, they're going to do it anyway. They're going to wait for me to crack it. Then they'll just, like, cycle another Shark Typhoon. So I think that was fine. This could just be a Vantress activation. Okay, it is. Could do it on the beginning of their turn. I guess that's true. I wasn't thinking about that. I mean, unless they're playing, like, Void Slime or Baral's... Or what is that? What is that spell? Counter spell? The double blue, one colorless Void Slime. Just without green. But I don't think anyone actually plays those cards. Opponent puts Kahira in their hand. Plays Kahira. Interesting. We untap. We draw an Ugin the Ineffable. Play Oblivion Stone. No, you're right. And I should have done that. I should have played around second Shark Typhoon. Now, whether or not my opponent would have actually, with a threat on board, made another threat, because, like, Reclamation tends to, like, want to have all of their mana all of the time, and will only use it when absolutely necessary, like, it's kind of a different question, but with 7 cards in hand, I imagine they have enough counter spells. I'm not going to be doing anything for the rest of this game. Oh, so you mean the shark that comes in cannot attack that turn? That's fair. Opponent just cast Nexus of Fate. Okay. They play and crack Misty Rainforest, getting a tap land. Hitting us for 3 again. We untap. We draw yet another Knot Tower. Ugin the Ineffable is pretty non-standard. I don't think this game is winnable. I don't want to show them this card because they haven't seen it. I think I am just going to concede here. I have a pretty good idea of what's going on. So Force of Vigor's Veil of Summer in. They're not going to win with Mill, so I don't think we need Kozilek here. Although Kozilek to draw cards might not be bad. I'm going to cut a lot of Wurmcoil Engines again, and I'm going to cut 1 Oblivion Stone again. You're a good boy, Porter. You're a good boy. He's sleeping. So we'll just run it like this. Alright, I would like to play first. Mind Tower, Power, Karn. Yeah, let's go. Pass the turn. That's fair. Opponent starts tap land. We draw Sundering Titan, which will be quite nice. That is a follow-up we can have against a first counterspell. Opponent plays a Scalding Tarn. Let's go ahead and sack for green. We get a Chromatic Sphere. Hey, Recall, how's it going? Play a tower. Now let's go for it. Karn. They certainly have a counterspell. There's no way this resolves. Okay. Scalding Tarn, Shock Breeding Pool. it's not my birthday. I don't know how to... Vampire. Not my birthday. It took me a second reading that name. Almost said something completely different, but love the new borderless cards for Tron. Yeah, I tried to bling out the deck. Figured why not. So we untap, we draw Sylvan Scrying, play Blast Zone, try Sundering Titan. Kind of hoping they have like a Force of Negation that they can't cast against this, but probably not. Search Sanctum first. I could have. The problem is, like, I need to get them to cast spells, and this is the best way to do it. Like, them casting an Archmage's Charm versus drawing cards off of it is huge. And if I try and go get Sanctum first, I'm still, like, delaying myself from playing an Ulamog. It wasn't for my birthday. Okay. Play Chromatic Sphere. Crack for green. We get an Oblivion Stone. Sylvan Scrying. Get a tower. Play a tower. Play Karn. Another Archmage's Charm. Well, like I said, at least they're not drawing cards off of it, but that is less than ideal. Opponent does not have a 5th land. That's interesting. I could play a forest for the Sylvan Scrying. I could cast Sylvan Scrying as like the logical conclusion to what I'm about to say, but I don't think that's correct. We're going to play an Oblivion Stone. We will play out the forest, because I will need green mana, and just more mana is better. But I kind of want to have the ability to cast Force in the event that my opponent does play a Wilderness Reclamation main phase. Like if they just tap out for that, we can force it and be fine. Although if they top deck another card, they could have like Counterspell backup. Tick up Blast Zone to something. I do not like ticking up Blast Zone preemptively when I don't know what I'm going to have to tick it up against. So I have to either cast Force, or I have to activate Blast Zone, or I have to activate Oblivion Stone. I think activating Oblivion Stone here is probably the play. If they have Ceremonious Rejection, we're going to be really sad if we draw a threat. Alright. We are going to cast Sylvan Scrying to thin the deck. Sanctum of Ugin is probably better, but I am going to get Yavimaya because I really want to be able to cast Force in the event that I need it. Pass the turn. I may tick up Blast Zone to 4 for another Wilderness Wreck, potentially. The fact that we did not immediately have something to follow that up with is pretty bad. Okay. Well, I mean, like, running Ulamogs would be great, but unfortunately that's not what I'm drawing. I did not tick up Blast Zone, but I couldn't get it all the way to 4 in one go anyway. This is probably a Shark Typhoon. Memory Deluge. Oh, I bet this card makes Reclamation way better. I didn't even think of that. Okay, opponent does find a land drop. They play Wilderness Wreck. They're playing something else, too, immediately? Okay, we're going to try this. Okay. They're holding Nexus of Fate, which is the only thing I can think of that would cause them to, like, start tapping mana that way. If I tick up Blast Zone, though, I'm potentially not answering a Wrenn 6, which could matter quite a bit with their mana production. I guess Wilderness Wreck at this point is probably still the, like, high priority. I hope I don't regret this. Well, pass the turn. I mean, you can't beat any deck if you draw only lands, which sometimes will happen, even if you're only playing 18 of them, and you tutor them, and you draw them. There it is. That's what I was worried about. Tentative Orch, welcome. How's it going? Yes, a Kano live stream. I'm glad you're enjoying the Tron content. Try Wurmcoil. Okay, Wurmcoil resolves by Miracle. 5 mana, so they're cycling a Shark Typhoon. That's good. I'm glad. Opponent untaps. They pick up a land and replay it. Yeah, don't do as I do. So we take 3. Go to 17. It's not my birthday. Oh my gosh. How is it that the new people know? How do they all know? Railin. Yep. Shark Typhoon is a big problem. So I guess we'll go ahead and tick this up to 6. We untap. We draw another Sylvan Scrying. Oh, you know what? Go to combat. YouTube. Yeah. We're going to attack Wrenn 6. They're going to cast like a Growth Spiral. They'll block. Maybe not. Maybe they were banking on a counterspell. Alright, well I can't just let them have an active Shark Typhoon. That wouldn't be right. So we get 2 much smaller tokens. Cast Sylvan Scrying. This time I'll get Sanctum. Play Sanctum. Pass the turn. This way if I draw an Ulamog, it's way better. It's because of the VODs. Yeah, no, I know. I just like... You know, I originally... I was recording like separate content and then doing the stream VODs on Friday, and a lot of people would watch those VODs. But I'm surprised that like the viewership did not decline when I kind of merged the 2 recording schedules. I thought that with less specifically like intensely focused on the game content, people may not. Oh my god! All right, go to combat. Pass the turn. You know, I thought when like me interacting with chat would make people less interested in the video. You know, Raylin, you're right. Why didn't I think of it like that? Shouldn't have put all these Tron lands in this deck. All I'm going to do is draw Tron lands. And that's fair. And I think there's actually a significant portion of people who are like actually enjoying this kind of content more, seeing how I interact with audience and like being interested in being here and interacting with me. So that's very flattering, Vampire. 7 more lands to go. Opponent is going to cast Force of Vigor. That's a green spell, not a blue spell. How am I supposed to counter that with Veil? Oh, all right, so we need our opponent to run out of cards, and then we draw an Ugin and wipe the board, and then they brick for 10 turns on lands, while we, they're not bricking. There's no way they're bricking. Well, good luck, Silver. All right, opponent untaps. They play Wilderness Reclamation. Okay, they go to combat. They attack us for a ton. I mean, yeah, they got the extra turn spell, probably. There's a really good chance we're just dead. Here it comes. I mean, even if they don't have it, they can just flashback Memory Deluge and get it. And still have mana to cast it. Yep. I think there's a good chance they'll find it. Alrighty. Well, that was very unfortunate. Let's move on to round 4. Okay, round 4. Here we go. I would like to play first. We definitely have better 6s than this hand of 7, so we will mulligan. We have better 5s than a landless 6. You know what? We'll keep it. They might forget to attack. Yeah, banking on your opponent being bad is not a strategy. I mean, unless you're playing against me, then it might be. It's happened once. I'm sure it has. I've definitely F6'd through a turn before. Ha-ha! What a waste of a Thoughtseize against a handful of lands. The Thoughtseize proofing. It worked. Alright, unfortunately, I do have to Sylvan Scrying. I can't not. We are going to get Power Plant. Pass the turn. I have no idea what I'm playing against. It's probably the rack. Raven's Crime. Okay, bye Yavimaya. Raven's Crime. Goodbye Karn. We untap. We draw Chromatic Star. Play Power Plant. Play Chromatic Star. Pass the turn. Okay. So I think we can beat the rack. Or 8 rack. Whatever you want to call it. The exception to that is if this is the version of 8 rack playing Smallpox, we may not be able to beat. Pros, counter it with lands, absolutely. So opponent plays the rack. We untap, we take damage. We are saving this to filter for green currently, since I did have to give up Yavimaya. We draw another Karn. Unfortunately, I think we just have to wait. If my opponent has hand hate, we're going to make him play it. Hopefully they don't go like land into Liliana, that would be very bad. Okay, Inquisition, nice whiff. Haha! This time we only take 2 damage. Alright. We draw Oblivion Stone. Which I could play out. They play Pithing Needle, which they're probably playing Urza's Saga. I think I'm just going to hold on to it, to be completely honest. I have a Blast Zone on board already. Okay, Raven's Crime, discard Oblivion Stone, because Oblivion Stone can be hit with Inquisition. That was a Raven's Crime out of hand. They didn't discard a land. Inquisition. You know it's in my hand. Are you just trying to empty your hand for Ensnaring Bridge? Or a Lily? Because that would make sense. And I'm just not understanding your superior strategy. I'm glad I discarded the right card. Those definitely should have been cast in the opposite order if they were trying to empty my hand, though. Because there was the chance I drew, like, a 3-mana card, right? Because if I drew a land, I would have played it. Big brain plays, no one can see coming. Okay, we drew Sylvan Scrying. Excellent. Sack for green. Straw card. We get another Urza's Mine. Sylvan Scrying. Let's get Tower. Play the Tower. Pass the turn. So, opponent needs a Thoughtseize or, like, double Raven's Crime. Raven's Crime plus Thoughtseize. They cannot beat Karn Liberated. Excellent. Alright. I don't normally like bringing in Veil of Summer versus decks playing Hand Hate. But when the deck is exclusively Hand Hate and you need any way to recuperate cards, I think Veil of Summer is fine. Let's see. What about main deck Chalice? Main deck Chalice is actually reasonable here as well. I think it is better to leave it for the Wishboard, because it's not like we're desperately trying to drop it on 0 to deal with Hammer or something like that. I think I'm going to leave it in the Wishboard. But, see, there's one recent top 8 list with the rack. And by recent, it was, like, last month. That one was playing Smallpox. But it was not playing Saga. Shark Marco, thank you for following. I appreciate it. Yes, I am looking at rack decks. I bet they're playing discard. I was looking at sideboard tech. Excuse you. And we do have to worry about like Douthie, Voidwalker, and Surgical Extraction. I'm gonna dump a Oblivion Stone and one Wurmcoil into the side just to expand the Wishboard so we don't get surgicaled 100% of all of our threats. And we're gonna try it like this. Don't rack your brain with this. All right. The puns. Okay. Now this hand isn't bad, especially with a Karn, 4-mana Karn. It is a little bit Inquisition resistant, so I am going to keep this hand. Nothing says I'm a meta slave with a meta sideboard like 8 rack. Oh, they didn't mulligan to nothing. They kept 7. Never mind. They take my Ancient Stirrings like a jerk. We draw a Veil of Summer. Lead on Forest. Pass the turn. Oh, gosh. So many rack puns. It's like I'm actually being tortured. Anyway. Opponent plays a Swamp. Veil. We get a redundant Karn. That's not a good thing, by the way. They do play Surgical. Opponent plays Shrieking Affliction. We untap. We draw an Ancient Stirring. So, play a Mine. Sylvan Scrying. No, I don't have an OnlyFans. Oh my gosh. You're gonna scare away all the new people, Raylan. They don't get the meme. Or maybe they do. They watched all my VODs, apparently. It's gonna power plant. Pass the turn. That you know of. Yeah, somebody else running the OnlyFans on my behalf. Opponent breaks the ice. Plays a rack. Wow. They're actually playing Break the Ice. That's kind of painful. Let's go ahead and Ancient Stirrings. Guess I'll get a tower. Rest of the bottom. Play Power Plant. Play Map. Pass the turn. As long as we can dodge Surgical, we are fine. We just have to dodge Surgical. Opponent plays an Urborg. Okay. I am predicting the last card in their hand is not Surgical, because they would have played it like immediately if it was. So we're gonna play a tower. We are going to play a Chromatic Star, and then we are going to pass. An opponent is going to make some tokens. Yeah, if they had Surgical, they would have Surgicaled mine on our draw step. Because there would be no reason to wait, basically. Because we couldn't counter it if we had Veil and Surgical dodges like Warping Whale. So, the joy of blowing out your Expedition map. Yeah, I'm going to crack map. Don't worry. Well, like, okay, so they could like deny me a land that way, right? But I still don't think that's actually a reason to wait. Well, they wouldn't Surgical the map. They would Surgical in response to the map activation. They would take mine because I would be tutoring for mine, right? And then I would have to take like a different land instead, I suppose. Okay, so Saga's ticking up to 3. They're going to activate it. Okay. So they're probably not playing another Break the Ice. So we go get mine. Oh, yeah, no, that is much better. Yes, Raylan, that is much better than the thing I called out. I was definitely wrong in my previous assessment. You are also correct in that statement. They know I'm holding Karn Great Creator. I think they saw the first one with Thoughtseize. So if opponent is accustomed to the Moto interface, they can just get Pithing Needle, name Karn Great Creator, and then, like, what do? We play a Wurmcoil, which isn't bad, but Karn Great Creator, okay. Need my blast zone. Take 4. They're pausing on their own end step. I don't think there's a reason for that. Okay, we untap. We take no damage from the rack. We draw Ugin. Ugin deals with exactly Shrieking Affliction and nothing else. Cycle Star for green. Let's see what we draw. Scrying. Okay. So we have exactly 8 mana. So we are going to play Wurmcoil Engine. And that should be fine. Then we Sylvan Scrying and go get Blast Zone. And Blast Zone will take out all of their 1-drops. Then we can play our Karn Great Creator and shut down the rest of the game. Right? They don't have 6 mana for an overloaded Break the Ice. Okay, opponent plays Liliana. They're going to make us sacrifice Wurmcoil. That's fine. Go ahead and swing with your constructs. No, you don't want to? Okay. That's reasonable. We untap. Don't take any damage. Draw Chromatic Star. So now that they've played Liliana, like Ugin downtick -3 kills Lily and Shrieking Affliction, which is tempting. We could Blast Zone, activate, kill all of the 1-drops. I think Blast Zone activate is still the way to go. Because then we can swing at Lily. You can also just uptick. Oh, Ugin uptick. Yeah, that's reasonable. That's might be more reasonable than what I was talking about. I feel like with him on board, there's not a lot they can do about it unless they have a Blood Chief's Thirst. Or another Pithing Needle. Let's go with the Ugin. I think the Ugin uptick is the way to go here. Play Ugin. Karn into the Forge. I can't downtick Karn. He's Pithing Needled. That is something that generally after like a long enough chain of dialogue I would be like, oh, I can just do that, and then like do that because it'd be great, right? Except I would forget about the Pithing Needle. Not today! Alright. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a land. They're going to break the ice my other mine. Okay, well, I'm glad we played the most expensive spell we had. They attack and attack. Block and block. Kill the constructs. Then I'm pretty sure we just Blast Zone and start shooting our opponent with Ugin. Smallpox. I mean, okay. Discard Chromatic Star. So anyway, I start blasting. I have no idea. I just imagine that's what Danny DeVito's character sounds like. Okay, opponent passes. We untap. Take no damage from the rack. Okay. We draw a Chromatic Sphere. Play Blast Zone. Shoot our opponent. Pass the turn. This way, just in case they draw another rack, they can't just play it. You just cast Karn here. What artifact does it stop them from activating? Mind Rake. Each player discards 2 cards. Alright, that's fine. It's not entirely possible to say Autobots aren't some a thing on some planets. Or some planes, excuse me. Alright, we're 3-1. So we're guaranteed a treasure chest. Let's move on to round 5. I mean, isn't that what the mirror are? They're like the little Autobots. This is not a good hand on the draw. Yeah, like the Battle Ball. You guarantee it's down when you cast when you blast zone. Well, I was gonna alt Ugin next turn and just put him into play. All right, we're gonna go to 6. We are gonna go to 5. All right, I am forced to keep 5, but it's not a completely unreasonable 5. The Weatherlight's the alien ship that carries the Autobots. Alright. Opponent also mulliganed to 4, and it is not the mirror match. It is Ragavan. Hey! Turn 3 Tron! Opponent mulliganed to 4 and kept a 1-lander with Ragavan, apparently. Exiled a forest. Expressive iteration. That's not a bad opening line. And if they don't have a counter spell, they're going to be relatively messed up. Okay, we draw a Chromatic Sphere, play Power Plant, pass the turn. Opponent cracks Flooded Strand. Now, if this is an opening Blood Moon, which it wouldn't be, they'd fetch a basic island if that were the case. But if this was an opening Blood Moon, I would be pretty upset. They exile a Karn Liberated. They play a Snow-Covered Plains into a Teferi Time Raveler. Okay. Let's go get a tower. Teferi resolves. They uptick Teferi to 5. We untap. We draw another expedition map. So I want to play Ugin here because then I can just like play out all my other artifacts for free. But I'm gonna play Karn, and I think I have to downtick on Ragavan to try and stem my opponent's mana. If they have a bolt for Karn, that's sad, but it's not the end of the world. Hitting a land here doesn't make any sense. Downticking on Teferi actually might, but Ragavan I think is the priority target here. Just because it's like guaranteeing my opponent mana to cast spells. Okay. Opponent downticks Teferi to draw a card. They play a Scalding Tarn. We untap. We draw a Karn, Great Creator. Uptick on our opponent's hand. We get a Flooded Strand. So, play a Forest. Play Ugin, the Ineffable. Play Karn, Great Creator. Play Map. Play Sphere. Wish with Karn. Get Coating. Play Coating. Ugin. Ugin's so good. The cost reduction matters way more than I give it credit for sometimes. So, Veil of Summer, Force of Vigor in. One Wurmcoil out. I think Wurmcoil's still going to matter quite a bit in this matchup. We can probably drop... I think so... Well, I don't know that they're going to be playing Blood Moon. They did have a basic Plains. Played Crack the Sphere first, technically. I think you're right, but... we still won. I'm going to put an Oblivion Stone in the Wishboard. I'm going to cut... Karn Liberated might actually be one of our worst threats in this matchup. I think a second Wurmcoil coming out is fine. Like, Wurmcoil's really good if this was a Murktide, like Ragavan is at Murktide, but it's not. It's like at least a Jeskai colored deck, possibly more. Ulamog might be ambitious, but I like having Ulamog in the deck. I'm going to cut a Karn. I think I cut a 7-mana Karn in this matchup. There's a lot of chance for like Spreading Seas, so Force of Vigor is nice. This hand is okay. We do have a lot of draws with this hand. Okay, opponent bleeds on Island and Springleaf Drum. Bauble. That's interesting. They're going to bauble my top deck. We draw Karn Liberated. Play Power Plant, play Sphere. Pass the turn. Is this like using Ragavan for mana to be like as tempo as possible? Why did our opponent sideboard into a different deck? Yeah, I have no idea what they're playing. That's a good question. Really hoping for another green spell here, so I can force and take out Saga and Springleaf Drum. There's an Ancient Stirrings. Sack for green, let's see what we draw. Wurmcoil. Play Sphere. I am not going to cast Ancient Stirrings. I am going to pitch it to force on my opponent's upkeep. We draw another Power Plant. Play Star. Pass the turn. Stop on their upkeep. There's too much value to not attempt. Metallic Rebuke. Okay. Our opponent is playing Metallic Rebuke. So they can tap the Ragavan tokens to pay for Metallic Rebuke without using them up. That's interesting. Well, we did draw another Tron land. Sack for green, see what we draw. Ugin. Alright, play the mine. Pass the turn. We draw a tower and we're good as gold. Would have guessed blue Hammer Time with the 2/1 steel equipped creature. The Thieving Skydiver. Okay, opponent makes a construct token. This might just be affinity, actually. Pithing Needle. Well, we have diverse threats. The only thing that they can name... Yeah, like Karn Liberated I don't think is actually good here. I think my opponent should have named Expedition Map, but they don't know I don't have Tron. Like, we have enough Planeswalkers of different varieties that... Like, naming one in the dark is not that great of a plan. Especially because, like, I even sideboarded out a Karn here. Teferi Affinity? Yeah. Well, I mean, they're in the 3-1 bracket at least, right? They're currently 2-0, according to the bot that posted in chat. So, they play another Bauble. We untap, they draw a card. We draw Force of Vigor, which we cannot cast. Play Power Plant. Pass the turn. Our opponent is as good as we are, so obviously what they're doing is reasonable, right? Right? One better, Teferi Tron. Oh, gosh. Opponent got a Chromatic Star and a Mox Amber. This could even be the Emry combo. Like, that's a reasonable thing for this opponent's deck to be. Okay, we get hit for 6, which is a lot. We draw a Forest. Play a Forest. Pass the turn. I'm gonna try this. We probably have another Metallic Rebuke. Spell Pierce. Well, unfortunately, we're dead to our opponent playing any artifact, which seems to be 90% of their deck. I think that was my best opportunity to resolve that. I don't think waiting for my opponent's turn was going to do anything. They play Teferi, which does turn on Mox Amber. They down ticket to draw, resetting Mox Amber. Okay, it's a Grinding Station deck. So this is like a weird Emry deck of some kind. Now, knowing that, Ugin is going to be almost worthless, as is Ulamog. Wurmcoil is not that great either. So I actually think I'm going to keep one Ugin in. I could bring in Chalice. I think it's better in the Wishboard. I'm going to bring Oblivion Stone back in, and I'm going to bring a Wurmcoil Engine back in. And we're going to try and play this game this way. Could be Aetherflux Reservoir. Yeah, that could be a win condition. I would like to play first. We have 2/3 of Tron and a bunch of stuff to do with it, but no draw at all. I am going to mulligan that. Okay, I can work with this. I'm going to put back, I think, Wurmcoil Engine. That is a reasonable reason to dislike your friend. Opponent leads on Ragavan. We draw Yavimaya, play Power Plant, pass the turn. Did they seriously keep another one-lander with Ragavan? Opponent exiles the top card of our deck, which is a Chromatic Sphere. A card that they would not mind casting, I imagine. Okay, they do have Metallic Rebuke mana. We are going to get Tower. Does not really matter what I play right now, does it? I'm going to try and cast Ancient Stirrings. I would rather them Metallic Rebuke this than potentially a threat next turn. Okay, Karn Great Creator is, in theory, very good against our opponent's deck. Let's hope they don't have Thoughtseizes. Okay, they fetch up a Hallowed Fountain tapped. They untap. They go to combat and attack us for 2. They get our Oblivion Stone, which they could cast and hold up Metallic Rebuke. They play Saga. Okay, they filter for blue. Looks like an expressive iteration. Okay, it's a Grinding Station. Okay, we untap. We draw Expedition Map. Play Tower. If they have Metallic Rebuke Spell Pierce, this doesn't work. Okay. So I could play out Expedition Map. I think I'm upticking Karn to deal with a treasure token. Play out Map. Nariel Vera, I think you're right. I was planning on upticking anyway. So I can uptick, then I can play Expedition Map. This gets around Metallic Rebuke, and potentially can let me go get, like a Blast Zone. which could deal with Ragavan. So if they have a Galvanic Blast here, that would be a concern, or like a Shrapnel Blast. They would have to activate Saga or hit us with Ragavan first, though. So they would have to activate Saga, Galvanic Blast, Karn, and hit him with Ragavan, which would mean they're not hitting us with Ragavan for a turn. Pithing Needle. Okay. That's fine. I'm going to let this resolve. They can name Blasting Zone, or they can name Blast Zone, I mean. If they wanted to. They name Karn. That's fine. Just means we can't uptick Karn. I didn't want to tutor for Blast Zone and then give them ideas, though. So, I hit Karn for 2. He goes to 4. They do not get a treasure. Crack map on their end step. Let's go get Blast Zone. Untap. Let's see what we draw. Oblivion Stone. Okay, that'll be kind of a good black backup plan. Play Blast Zone. Load up. Take out the treasure token. I still think they have Metallic Rebuke. If they do, let's Sylvan Scrying. If they rebuke, they can't make a token. That's true. A single token with how many cards they have in hand and the way they've been playing should not be enough to kill Karn. But there's a distinct possibility I was supposed to cast Oblivion Stone so that they had to rebuke, basically. Okay, they're rebuking this. That's fine. I can pay for rebuke. I have 8 mana. This gets me to 10, so I'm going to go get Sanctum. Pass the turn. I do not think rebuke was the correct play there. They have Unholy Heat, so that's why they were trying to get an instant into the grave. I still think making a token was probably correct. Opponent grinding stations themselves. They might be able to go infinite with Underworld Breach. They play Teferi. They play Mox Amber. Bounce Mox Amber. Replay it. I mean, as long as we're not dead here. Okay, we might be dead. I actually think we are dead. We did not have a way to play around that. I'm gonna make them play it out because I genuinely don't remember how they win. Like they're not gonna lose on clock. They have plenty of time to do this. We know Thassa's Oracle. Yeah, that would make the most sense to me. Not letting them have Delirium was a way to not lose. I don't think I had a way to prevent them from having Delirium. So you're saying by casting a spell there it was incorrect because it let them put an instant in the grave? Okay. Thassa's Oracle. Okay. Well, we went 3 and 2. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Let's go ahead and open our treasure chest, see what our bounty is here. We get 10 play points, a Maid of Dishonor, I don't remember how you say your name, and an Old Border Calibrated Blast. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed the Green Tron League. I'm going to be playing Battle of Wits next, so if that interests you, that's what I'm doing next. I would play more Green Tron, but I'm not really up for it at the moment.